Okay, so what if we could aim higher than just a basic income for everyone? What if we could build a system for a high income for all? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. We're going to break down a really comprehensive blueprint for universal high income put together by writer and researcher David Shapiro.
And look, Shapiro kicks things off with a pretty bold claim. He says, while people like Elon Musk keep talking about universal high income, he's the one who's actually figured out how to build it. I mean, that's a heck of a statement. So let's see if the plan backs it up, right? Let's dive in.
All right, so here's how we're going to walk through his entire blueprint. It's broken down into 5 parts. First, why our current system is breaking down. Then, what kind of new foundation we need. After that, how we can make everyone an owner. The big one, how do we fund this whole thing? And finally, the payoff. What does this UHI world actually look like?
Okay, first up, our system is breaking. We've got to understand the problem before we can get to the solution. So why exactly does Shapiro think the whole system of wage labor is on the verge of collapse?
And this chart, this really says it all. It shows just how fragile things are for most people. Take a look at that huge slice. A whopping 82% of the average American household's income comes from just one place, wages. Just one single paycheck.
So think about what that means. The entire system, we're talking consumer spending, government revenue, even social stability, it's all built on this one single pillar of wage labor. It's like a house of cards resting on a single card. And here's the kicker. This chart, which shows what Shapiro calls the great decoupling, just nails the problem. For 50 years, look at that productivity line. It's been skyrocketing. We're creating more wealth than ever. But worker wages? Totally flat. The link between working harder and earning more, it's been broken. So, okay, if wages are no longer a reliable foundation, what do we build on instead? That brings us to the next part of the plan, the new foundation. Let's look at how we build a more resilient economic floor. The first layer here is what Shapiro calls the transfer floor, and the idea is pretty simple. We start by strengthening the safety nets we already have. We're talking about things like Social Security, but also local guaranteed income programs, to make sure there's a solid floor that absolutely no one can fall through.
But that's just the safety net. The real game changer, the true foundation of this whole thing, is what he calls public capital, and it all starts with something called a sovereign wealth fund.
Now, before you think this is some kind of sci-fi idea, it's not. This stuff is already working, right now, all over the world. You've got Norway with its massive $2.2 trillion fund. You've got Alaska, which has been paying out dividends to every single resident since 1982. Even Singapore and over 20 US states have funds like this. The core idea is simple. It turns citizens into shareholders of their own economy.
Okay, so we have public capital. Now let's talk about how we make everyone an owner, right from the very beginning.
This next piece is brilliant for tackling the wealth gap head-on. Baby bonds. The concept is straightforward. Step 1, the government seeds an investment account for every single newborn. Step 2, that money just sits there and compounds for 18 years. And step 3, when that kid becomes an adult, they get a real capital base to start their life with. It's about giving everyone a starting line, not just a finish line.
And this isn't just about government funds. Shapiro's plan is big on creating what he calls on-ramps to private capital too. We're talking about expanding things that already exist, like employee stock ownership plans, ESOPs, which already hold over $2 trillion in assets, or worker co-ops, like the huge Mondragon in Spain, and even new stuff like DAOs. The point is to create a whole ecosystem of ownership.
All right, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds amazing, maybe even too good to be true. So let's get to the elephant in the room. How in the world do you pay for all of this? Let's talk about the great pivot.
First, we have to understand the problem with how things are funded now. Look at this. The vast majority of U.S. federal revenue, like 80 to 85%, comes from income and payroll taxes. But wait, we just established that wage labor is the very thing that's collapsing. You see the problem? We're funding our government with a shrinking resource.
So the solution has to be a radical shift, what Shapiro calls a revenue pivot. We have to stop taxing labor so heavily. Instead, we shift the tax base onto things that are growing: capital, consumption, carbon, and the commons. It's not about new taxes so much as it is about taxing different things.
And there is a serious deadline here. This timeline lays out what Shapiro calls the automation cliff. The theory goes that around 2030, AI will cause wage decline to accelerate, like a lot. The problem is, all these new capital programs we've talked about won't be fully mature and paying out significantly until maybe 2045. That leaves this incredibly dangerous gap in the middle. We have to start now to bridge that gap.
Okay, so let's fast forward. We've built the new foundation, we've made everyone an owner, and we've pivoted our revenue streams. What's the payoff? What does this new system actually deliver for a normal household?
And here it is. This is the after picture. Remember that first chart, the one with the scary 82% slice for wages? Well, this is the UHI version. Look at it. It's a truly diversified income portfolio. Wages are still there, but they're just one slice among almost a dozen streams, like UBI, social insurance, dividends from sovereign wealth funds, baby bonds, the whole shebang.
So you add all those slices together, and what do you get? In today's dollars, the projected median household income in a mature UHI system is $140,000. Now, that is what he means by universal high income. And maybe the most powerful argument Shapiro makes is this. None of this is pure fantasy. The math works. The mechanisms already exist in pockets all around the world. The only things missing, he argues, are the scale and the political will to connect all the dots. The cost of waiting, he says, is catastrophic.
So at the end of the day, what this blueprint really represents is a fundamental shift in thinking. We move away from a model of tax and redistribute to a new model of own and distribute. It's about pre-distribution, not redistribution. And it leaves us with a massive question. Is this the blueprint for our post-labor future?